Hello all, it is 3:21 on the 1st of the 12th, 2024, so they tell us. And this is a Self-Preservation Society, my main channel. It's on Bitchute, link in the description box below if you're watching anywhere other than that. I'm Bazzzilll, Broadcasting Truth and Therapy, BBTT. Here I am using the talking stick. And it is rather a sad day with the news of the passing of Anna di Seti. I think I've pronounced that right. Please forgive me if I've said it wrong. Many of you, certainly over here in the UK, will be aware of Anna, the lawyer who spoke up often and eloquently with regard to the pandemic and whatever. I was fortunate enough to listen to her speaking at Canterbury a few years back, 3 years back I think it was, maybe 4. Don't know, time flies, doesn't it, when you're being done. Anyway, I wish Anna well as she travels onward, and I give thanks to her for her service to mankind. She's not the first. She passed with cancer, so I'm led to believe. I think if I remember rightly, Ian R. Crane went with cancer as well. There's also Dr. Rashid Buttar. Do you remember him? He passed early. So many others. So many others to which we owe much to. And they've travelled onward. Anyway, there's another one I've been listening to this morning. On the YouTube channel of Ethereal Edge Podcast, Dr. Lee Merritt. And some brilliant information coming from her, which was shared to me by a lady in her 80s. And I listened to it this morning. Brilliant stuff. And I've passed it around on MeWe, on Facebook, and it's worth having a listen. Really is worth having a listen. I've also listened to some other stuff from different people today, and people with all good intention, I'm sure, well-meaning, this, that and the other, but still I see amongst my peers and whatever, and those that purport to know a bit, they can't differentiate between human beings and mankind. There is a difference, people. In the same way there's a difference between the spirit and the soul. I've spoke about it much here on my channel. And I understand people have to come to awareness in their own time, as I've done. But those two things are paramount in our own individual conscious awakening and awareness. Human beings are not mankind, and mankind is not human beings. Human beings come from mankind. The spirit is not the soul, and the soul is not the spirit. The spirit comes from the soul. Cannot stress that enough, people. Spoke about it for an awful long time now. And, words are spells, and they keep you spellbound. And when you seek to understand this comprehend it. Life, through its complexity, becomes a lot simpler. It really does. It really does. But still, there are many among you on this earth, plane, realm, globe, whatever you want to call it, that still are reaching outside of yourselves, paying homage and lauding those outside of yourself, instead of simply focusing on the message that they bring. You know, it could be a truther, it could be a medium, a psychic, it could be a politician, a sports star, a film star, this, that, and the other. Doesn't matter who it is. If you laud them more than the message that they share, then you ain't awake, and, you know, you'll never convince me that you are. Never, ever convince me that you are. But you don't have to convince me of anything, do you? And nor do I ask you that of you. I'm not here to convince you of anything. I've said many times before, what I alliterate here is basically my own journey and the different stages of that journey leading to where I am today, conscious awakening and awareness of the true self, you know, having dealt with my demons and continue to deal with those demons and shadows, this, that, and that, internally and externally, in order to free myself from a prison not too long ago I never knew existed. And that's what you've got to do, people. You've all got to do that. And I realise how difficult it is for human beings to do that. But when you do start doing it with integrity, with humility, with honesty, you realise that in this physical form, you're not a human being. You're man. You're mankind. And then, without doubt, you'll come to the awareness you're not a spiritual being neither. That is just a corruption of the non-physical self, the soul, in the same way that human beings are a corruption of the physical self, mankind. You know, you've got to come to this awareness yourself. And I say you've got to, and you have. It's your soul's journey. And you've got to come to it yourself when you're ready to. When you're ready to, you will. And nobody will be able to challenge you in the way that you will come to challenge yourself and all that you hold dear, etc., etc. I speak from my own experience. Nobody outside of me can challenge me in the way I've come to challenge myself. And that's the story of the personal evolution, coming to awareness of the true self. Certainly is for me, in my experience anyway. And I'd like to think it is with you. But you have to see that yourself. And, you know, you cannot buy your way out of this prison. You've just got to pay attention. That's what you've got to do. You've got to pay attention. You can't buy your way out of it. You've got to pay attention. And the only sacrifice worth making on an individual level is of the self. Sacrificing that which you think you are, what they've told you you are, for that which you truly are, which they've kept you in fear of. And as that meme earlier on said, if you're going to sacrifice anything outside of you, then let's sacrifice the richest person in the world and divide the spoils up, their material wealth up with those that need it, would appreciate it, would do good with it. Those people are there just to have you focus on something that you can be, something to aim for in this material world. None of what you can accrue in this material world, materially, will ever serve you when you leave here, because you can't take it with you. Those people that control you can come back to it because they have no soul, in the same way that I like to think most of mankind has. They have no soul. They've long ago sold their soul in order that they could come back and profit and gain and dominate over those of us that walk in shadows and in darkness and who are in fear of our truest essence, the Lucifer within, the light and the way, and they keep us in ignorance. They keep from us abundance, control it, the abundance of the earth, the plants, the foods, and the clean water and clean air. They keep it from us, that which we need in order that we may live. And they keep us living here time after time, ignorant of the time before, fearful of what may be to come. It's brilliant the way it works. I've tried to vocalise that to you in so many different ways. And again, as Shelley says, you often find ways to repeat the same thing, but in a different way. And I'll continue to do that because it's so important. The simplest message is so important. Blinded by our own light. That's the simplest message. And so we walk in shadows and darkness with demons within us and outside of us, controlling us. It's as simple as that. That meme there was sent to me by Mark, Motley Do on Odyssey. He sent that to me because he was inspired to make that up after my last upload, I think it was. It's brilliant. Well done, Mark. Thank you. Thank you very much. That's all it boils down to, people. In one simple rule in life. If you wouldn't like it done to you, don't do it to others. That's all. That's all that matters in life. Cause no harm, cause no loss, cause no injury. And yet, the one we harm most, ultimately, is ourselves. We might cause pain and suffering to somebody outside of us, but ultimately, we have to carry that. And we have to come to terms with that which we've done to others. You might think you can escape it. You can't. You might live in 100 more lifetimes. And it might take that for you to realise those simple rules that govern life itself. Cause no harm, cause no loss, cause no injury. For if you do, it will come back to you. Maybe not in this lifetime, but in another, when you are even more confused as to why you should suffer in the way that you do. What have you done when you've led a life in balance with and harmony with nature and your fellows, and you're suffering? It's because you haven't awakened to the suffering that you've caused before. It's another way they keep us in ignorance, in fear, and whatever. Face your demons. Nobody can ever forgive you for the wrongs you have done until you can first forgive yourself for doing those wrongs. And you will never be able to truly free yourself from the ties of others and the wrongs they do to you until they have also realised that and forgiven themselves and then sought forgiveness from you. I still do that today as I go about this journey and remembering my trespasses and those that trespassed against me. I make peace with that. I don't seek revenge. I just make peace with it. I seek to understand it. I do that in order that I may grow in awareness of self, awareness of care, love, empathy, truth. I'm growing all the time, people. And I don't say this lightly, but I say it to inspire you, to empower, enlighten and enable you. The number of times those with the eyes to see have said to me, wow, your aura is big, beautiful, glowing, this, that, and the other. That's the universe acknowledging through somebody else and about the work that I have done on the self. I've often said that to people when I've seen it, because I have abilities like you have outside the five senses. I seek to master those abilities, and in a way that they don't control me, but I'm able to have control over them in order that I may see, feel and hear that which is truly there, and not the static of the third dimensional reality that is all consuming, all controlling, all dominating. Because I do the inner work and continue to do it, and so should you. The only way out is to go within, and if you don't go within, you'll go without. That's the truth, my friends. That's the truth. Here in the UK today, there's no doubt football on Sunday. Final of the snookers on. You know, EastEnders are probably on the telly and all stuff like that. You know, there's plenty to distract you. And we take on those distractions and get sucked in by them. With little knowing or understanding of how we are powering the system that keeps us enslaved, controlled, indoctrinated, in ignorance, in fear. How many of you ever do anything naturally? walking along the beach, walking through the countryside, amongst the fields, the trees and Mother Nature. You come from Mother Nature and you will return this physical form to Mother Nature. And as you do so, the spiritual aspect of that incarnation, along with the soul, will pass away from this third dimensional reality, often in fear, often in ignorance. I think so deeply about how I have the foundations of my own personal journey in spiritualism, and I look so deeply about how few in spiritualism today are talking anything like me, or anything like those who founded spiritualism in the modern sense, and what it come from the Fox sisters and all those, investigators, those mediums, and whatever of the past. There was so much good mediumship, so we're told and recorded in the past. Trance mediums who would allow another personality to take them over to communicate with those in earshot. And you would hear the personality of that entity. Might be your mum, dad, or whoever. But whoever the medium was, male or female, they would allow themselves to step aside to allow a communicator, formerly male or female, to come through and to share words of hope, of empowerment, enlightenment, share knowledge and wisdom in order that you may come to an understanding of how to live life here. I see so little evidence of that today from those who call themselves spiritualist or spiritual, or, tell you they're psychic, this, that, and the other, and all those other things. It's all about taking somebody's energy, frequency and vibration, be it physical, material, emotional or otherwise, so they can feast off it. We do that, people. Not only are we used as a food source for those that control us, but we use others and their energy, frequency and vibration in order that we may prosper for these 70 years and 10 and profit off others. That's what human beings do. Mankind does not do that. You can still see where mankind does not do that. Even in this 21st century, when you look around for the pockets of mankind left, Borneo, in the Amazonian rainforest, and certain parts of tribal culture throughout the 7 continents that we're taught exist. There is much more to this earth than that, and there is much more to us than we allow ourselves credit for. But we blinded by fear and ignorance in the way that we are. We remove ourselves from all personal responsibility and vote in people to carry that responsibility for us. It's not absolution, people. It's not absolving yourself of your words, deeds and actions just because you voted somebody else in. You cannot escape the consequences of your actions, no more than those that rule you can. You cannot escape the consequences of your actions. And when you're humble enough, aware enough to see that, you'll change. You will change. You will do as I've been doing for at least 40 years, if not 64 years. You will deal with your inner demons and you will unlearn all that you have learned in order that you may walk in light and not shadows. And if you don't, you reap what you sow. If you don't change, then you're choosing. You're choosing everything that you experience. And if you don't change, you'll continue to experience it. And the only one to blame ultimately is the self. If you've been what I've been through in my life, you can understand why I have blamed others. But ultimately, it's down to me. Down to me. I've given permission to others to treat me the way that they have. Through fear, ego, arrogance, whatever. I've consented to being treated the way that I have by those that have mistreated me. And it works the other way as well. Those that I've mistreated. But I see that now. And I make peace with that. And I make peace with the self. I cut, I heal the psychic cords between me and any other situation. I heal the memory and the experience, and then I cut the psychic cords, freeing me. And that's what you must do, people. Only you can free yourself. I'm able to free myself because others have shared with me knowledge and wisdom and time in order for me to see that which I was to that which I can become. And I thank them. I am very fortunate that I have taken notice of those that have shared knowledge to empower, enlighten and enable me. And that's why I do what I do here. To share knowledge, to empower, enlighten and enable you. In order that you may take responsibility for your own freedom. In order that you may take responsibility for seeing the error of your ways and the error of those that have caused you harm, loss or injury. Don't seek revenge. Seek peace. Revenge is just doing the same thing over and over again, perpetuating the energy, frequency and vibration. Don't seek revenge. Seek peace. The place to find peace is within the self. Let your eye be single. Know thyself. As I do, you can do also and far greater things. That's how you should be living your life. Knowing the truth will set you free. If it were not so, I would not tell you. Respect to all of those out there that are dealing with their demons and their shadows and their ignorance and their fear. I honour you. I bow to you. We've just got to get everybody else to do it. And we can make the change. If this message resonates, share the message. Don't share me. Share the message. If you're going to put anybody on an altar, then it must be you. And only you. And it must be done for the right reasons. Palamia, thank you. In Lakesh, in you I see an enemy. Midako Yasin, we are all related, we are all relatives. And I tell you, we are all connected. Share the message. Don't share me. Look in my description box, wherever you're watching. Find my main Bitchute channel if you're not watching it there, and have a look at all the work and messages that I share. They're for you, as much as they are for me.